you watch this channel, you know I am a fruit tree guy and a garden bed guy. But a lot of you, even if you've never started one of these projects, might also be a type of gardener in a place you wouldn't expect, right under your feet in your lawn. Today, I'm gonna see if treating my lawn like I treat my garden beds makes any kind of difference. You're gonna be along for the ride to see if it even works as I fertilize this. Let's get busy. Okay, I know a lot of people get all worked up about lawns. They go, oh, it's so wasteful. It uses all this water that could be used to... But I think that it has its place. I wonder what you think. Are you on team no lawn or are you on team lawn? Put that in the comments. Let's see what you think. I know I don't pay attention to my lawn like I do some of the other things in our garden. It's usually, hey, get out here and mow it. But this truly has been one of these blessings, and it probably is for you too in your space. We had a real problem with erosion on our hill where water would race through, flood our patio. And by having this lawn here, it has done a few things. It's kept erosion at bay. It's capturing moisture and allowing it to just stay somewhere so that it can go into the ground. It's created a nice, cool space underfoot for us to be able to play and congregate when we've got friends, we've got our kids running around. Everywhere else in our yard is either wood chips or rocks. So having this space where kids can safely play without getting splinters or skinned knees is really, really nice. I've got to take care of it a little bit. Most people, when they look at a lawn, don't realize you're dealing with a plant. When you see vegetables or you see trees, you're thinking, a plant, how can I care for this thing? But these plants need help too. You can see here that there's a top, there are leaves that are photosynthesizing. You've got a root structure that is really dependent on how things are going with the whole biome under here. And so this needs just as much care as any other kind of plant. It needs nutrients, it needs water, it needs sunlight in order to fully thrive. Today, we're going to be taking care of that fertilizing side of it and making sure that this plant has what it needs. We planted this Marathon 2 grass 4 years ago in order to take advantage of this space. We had a hill that was eroding, and once we leveled that, we built our garden beds. We needed something to put down here, and Marathon 2 has been both durable and beautiful. But you notice that it's getting a little bit yellow. This is a season where it's actively growing in the spring, and so usually this yellowing can be an indicator that it's short of nutrients. And this is where we're going to come through and feed it. And ideally, it's going to perk up. Not only is it going to green up into this beautiful lawn color that we want, but it's also going to remain healthy and vibrant. And that's what we want out of our lawn, to be growing really vigorously during the growing season. When it comes to fertilizer, like this fertilizer I have from Lawn Synergy, this is where I do have some understanding I'm going to share with you. With most fertilizers, you're looking at what the macronutrients are. In other words, what are the main things that these plants are going to be fed with? And that's usually the NPK, you've heard of that, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. Well, this fertilizer is a 13-0-10 fertilizer, which means it's 13 parts per 100 of nitrogen. It has 0 parts of phosphorus and 10 parts potassium. It also has sulfur and some of these other nutrients. One thing that is a secret weapon when it comes to greening up a lawn is iron content, and this fertilizer has iron in it. So I can't wait to see how that greens, especially some of these yellow areas up. All right, I'm going to show you how to actually spread this stuff. When it comes to grass, there are 2 kinds of main fertilizer. One is just pure fertilizer. It's only nutrients for your grass. The other is what's called a weed and feed. A weed and feed has nutrients that your grass can use, but it also comes with something that is targeted toward the weeds that appear in your garden. Now I've got these little guys. I don't even know what this is called, but it's appeared right in the middle of my lawn. It's like impossible to get this out. It's all mixed in here. I can't even come with a little screwdriver and find the root. You know, it's just breaking off and I'm pulling up a bunch of grass with it. I can't get the roots. So coming through with something that is going to adhere to this weed, that's going to go on its leaves, go down in its system and kill it across the entire lawn is going to be really key for our lawn in this case. When it comes to fertilizing your lawn, you've got a bunch of options. You can grab the little granules out of here and throw like the Salt Bay all over your lawn. Something more practical for a lawn is something that's going to be a spreader. This little manual spreader is great for smaller spaces, really even like a lawn like mine, you could get away with it. Just fill the hopper up, you put it to the amount that you want it to disperse by, you pull the trigger and you just start spinning and the fertilizer all flies out. If you've got a larger space, something that's really convenient is using a rotary spreader like this one. And so this one from Scott's has been helpful. There are a bunch of other varieties you can buy. And so you dial in your dispersion setting, lets it know how much to let out. And as you walk, the wheel spins and spreads and casts it all around. This is oftentimes a more even spread. It's kind of like mowing a lawn. You just make your way back and forth. And so I like this for getting a consistent spread on a lawn. One thing I like about this type of spreader is that it has this thing called an edge guard. This makes it so that when it's on, it's not going to shoot in a big arc. It's going to cut this off, so that way as I'm walking by the edge of the lawn, it's not throwing it onto the sidewalk or other areas. This is what I'm going to use today. Okay, so by pulling this trigger back, this handle back, it's going to open this slot, and as I walk, the wheel is going to start spinning this rotary dispenser. So as we walk, we see that it's starting to throw this out. When you get a bag of fertilizer, I recommend not emptying the entire thing. It's better to just refill this as needed, as opposed to realizing you've got an entire hopper full of fertilizer that you're not going to use. Now you've got to figure out how to get it back in the bag. Okay, we've got it applied. Now all that's left to do is let the water fall on it, let the fertilizer and the grass meet each other, the weeder and the weeds, and check in a few days. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you what I find.
4 to 6 weeks later.
Okay, a word of warning. You can sometimes overdo it and give your lawn an overdose of fertilizer. And so you'll want to avoid giving it too much, especially nitrogen, which can burn and stress your lawn, by looking in two places. The first is on the bag of fertilizer. It's going to have the application rates on the back, and that should let you know how much fertilizer to apply for the amount of square footage that you have. The other has to do with your spreader. All of those dials and numbers mean certain things. Look at the manual for your specific spreader to know what those mean, so that way you're applying the right amount of fertilizer for your particular lawn. All right, here we are, like a week or two since we applied all of this stuff. I see that these weeds have gotten really beat up, which is really great. And also the grass is got a lot more vigor, a lot more growth. Now, you'll notice there's a dead spot here. I found out that once the temperatures came up, that one of those sprinklers was being covered by those nasturtium. They'd grown over it and weren't allowing the sprinkler head to go up. So that area wasn't getting watered in 95-degree heat for a few days. So we got a little bit of a dead spot. But the rest of it is perked up and doing awesome. And this has just got to be a regular thing that happens with the grass, is making sure that this is getting fed on time. A spot where I can see that the growth has really taken hold is in this middle patch leading from our door, where our kids go from that door and up those stairs regularly. There's just back and forth and back and forth. And so this middle area is where it really gets beat up. And I see a ton of vigor there. I can see some of the grass is tramped down, but there's a lot of growth. It's a lot more full than it was. And I'm really encouraged to see that. When you spend time taking care of the plants that are your lawn, you're going to begin to notice some things if you're paying attention. So even if you've never grown a thing in the garden, start to pay attention to what happens when you fertilize, what happens when you water, and the skills that you learn are going to be able to be transferred into your garden, and you're going to know what types of things to look for. So whether you've got one blade of grass that you're nurturing or 5,000, until next time, stay busy.